History is hiding a deadly algorithm, a mathematical sequence that governs the rise and fall of nations. Over the last 500 years, this specific pattern has totally dismantled 3 global superpowers. And as we speak in 2025, the United States is not just observing this pattern, it is executing it. Step by step, mistake by mistake. It's almost as if our leaders are reading from the same suicide script that destroyed every empire before us. This isn't about politics. This isn't about left versus right. This is about pure economic gravity. Think back. In 1590, Spain owned the world. They held half the planet's gold and silver. 80 years later, they were bankrupt, broken, and irrelevant. In 1914, Britain was the empire where the sun never set. The British pound was the king of currencies. 40 years later, the empire dissolved. The currency collapsed, and they became a secondary power living in America's shadow. In 1991, the Soviet Union was a nuclear titan. It commanded half of Europe. In just 900 days, it vanished from the map. Not by war, but by economic suicide. 3 superpowers, 3 different centuries, 1 identical sequence of collapse. Here is the terrifying reality that no one on the news is talking about. The United States has already completed 5 of the 7 stages of this cycle. We are not walking toward the cliff. We are already falling. This is the untold story of how empires actually die, why they always believe they are special, and why the math proves we are next. First, we need to understand the mechanics of death. Imperial collapse doesn't start with an explosion. It doesn't start with a foreign army marching on the capital. It starts with something much more boring and much more deadly: the illusion of wealth. It happens when a superpower extends beyond its ability to pay for itself. They build military bases in 150 countries. They fight wars on multiple fronts. They make promises to their citizens, pensions, healthcare, subsidies that they cannot afford. At first, the rot is invisible. The currency still spends. The skyscrapers still shine. The army still looks invincible. But beneath the surface, the foundation is turning to dust. The nation stops producing real value and starts relying on debt and reputation. When your currency, once the prize of the world, comes flooding back home because nobody wants it anymore, the game is over. Spain ignored the symptoms. Britain ignored the symptoms. The USSR ignored the symptoms. And right now, the United States is ignoring the flashing red lights. Let's look at the first victim of the pattern: the Spanish Empire in the 16th century. After Columbus discovered the Americas, Spain became the first true global superpower. They struck the greatest lottery in history. They found mountains of silver and gold in the New World. By 1600, they controlled the global money supply. The Spanish real was the world's first reserve currency. But this wealth was a curse in disguise. Because they had unlimited money flowing in for free, they fell into a trap known as the Dutch disease. They stopped producing things. Why grow food, weave cloth, or build ships when you can just buy them from other countries with your endless silver? The Spanish nobility considered work to be beneath them. Manufacturing died. Agriculture stagnated. Spain became addicted to imports. Then came stage 1, overextension. King Philip II believed he was chosen by God. He fought wars against everyone simultaneously: the Ottomans, the French, the Dutch, and the English. Half of Spain's revenue went solely to interest payments on war debt. Stage 2 was debasement. To keep paying for these endless wars, the king did something criminal. He started mixing copper into the silver coins. A coin that was once pure silver became 50% copper, then 90% copper. The face value remained the same, but the real value collapsed. This caused the price revolution. The cost of bread and basic goods skyrocketed. crushing the poor while the elite parted. Stage 3 was the debt spiral. It got so bad that Spain, the richest empire on earth, declared sovereign default. Bankruptcy, not once, but 4 times in just 40 years. By 1650, the empire was a hollow shell. They had the gold, but they had no economy. Today, Spain is a beautiful tourist destination, but it has never returned to the world stage as a superpower. The pattern showed no mercy. Fast forward 300 years to the British Empire. In 1900, they ruled 25% of the Earth's land surface. London was the financial center of the universe. The British pound sterling was as good as gold. Then, the most recent example, the Soviet Union. Post-World War II, they were the other titan. They had the largest army in the world, 30,000 nuclear warheads, and they beat America to space. But their economy was a lie. They spent a staggering 15% to 20% of their entire GDP on the military, just to keep up with the United States. In comparison, the US spent about 5%. The Soviet economy stagnated because central planning kills innovation. But the real killer was their dependence on a single resource: oil. By the 1980s, the Soviet Union couldn't even feed itself. They were quietly importing millions of tons of grain from the West to prevent famine, paying for it with oil money. When global oil prices crashed in the mid-80s, the cash flow stopped. The shelves went empty. People waited in line for 6 hours just to buy a loaf of bread or a pair of shoes. In December 1991, the USSR simply ceased to exist. There was no grand final battle, no invasion, just an internal economic heart attack. The system rotted from the inside out until it collapsed under its own weight. Now, look in the mirror. Look at the United States in 2025. We are following the pattern with terrifying precision. We maintain over 750 military bases in 80 countries. We are funding wars in Ukraine, the Middle East, and preparing for conflict in the Pacific. We spend nearly $900 billion a year on defense. That's more than the next 10 countries combined. Yet, recruitment numbers are plummeting, and our stockpiles are depleting. Stage 4. Loss of manufacturing capacity. We don't build anything anymore. We finance, we design, but we import the actual product. We've outsourced our industrial base to China, Vietnam, and Mexico. If a major war breaks out tomorrow, we are dependent on our rivals for antibiotics, microchips, and steel. We have become Spain. Stage 5. Social decay. A wealthy nation crumbling from within. Political polarization is at civil war levels. Trust in media and government is at an all-time low. The wealth gap is the widest it's been since the 1920s. We are currently sitting in Stage 5. The next step is Stage 6, loss of reserve currency status. This has already begun. The petrodollar agreement with Saudi Arabia is expiring. BRICS nations are actively building a payment system to bypass the dollar. Central banks around the world are buying gold at record levels. This is a vote of no confidence in the US dollar. And finally, Stage 7, total collapse. And finally, Stage 7, total collapse. The cycle doesn't care about American exceptionalism. It is pure mathematics. You cannot spend more than you earn forever. History shows that once Stage 5 is complete, Stages 6 and 7 happen fast. Not in decades, but in years. If you want to survive by knowing what comes next, you need to understand the timeline. Subscribe to the Economic Chronicler, because when the collapse happens, you don't want to be the one asking why. You want to be the one who is prepared.